Good evening, everybody. What I have here, first bottle is an original bottle of Crystal Pepsi from 1992, and then a modern day bottle of Crystal Pepsi from 2015, 2022. A screaming question that absolutely needs to be answered today, once and for all, is was Crystal Pepsi from late 2015 to 2022 the same as Crystal Pepsi from the 90's? Today, we're going to be digging deep, taking a look at the ingredients from both of these bottles, finding out if there are any differences, and if there are any things that are the same, what not. You guys know the drill. So we're going to dig right in, take a look at these ingredients, see exactly what we can find. So here we go. So first of all, Crystal Pepsi of 1992. It had carbonated water, high fructose corn syrup, phosphoric acid, citric acid, natural flavorings, and modified food starch. Late Crystal Pepsi had carbonated water, high fructose corn syrup, phosphoric acid, citric acid, natural flavorings, sodium benzoate, which helped preserve the freshness, sodium citrate, caffeine, gum arabic, and that's it. Now let's take a look at stuff that was the same. They both had carbonated water, high fructose corn syrup, phosphoric acid, citric acid, and natural flavorings. Now let's take a look at the differences. The very first major difference is that late Crystal Pepsi had caffeine. Original Crystal Pepsi did not. Late Crystal Pepsi had sodium benzoate, which helps preserve the freshness, so if anything, that was only an improvement and wouldn't have really even tainted the original flavor in the first place. That was only a helpful ingredient. The original Crystal Pepsi had modified food starch, which basically all it did was to help it acted as a thickening for the liquid. Now, the only thing that I can think of that was similar was that late Crystal Pepsi had what was called gum arabic, which basically is kind of like sap that comes from an acacia tree, and that I don't know if it necessarily helps with the thickening, but I'm pretty sure it helps with kind of the overall sophistication of the liquid, not just being just a complete solid like water. However, modified food starch in the original Crystal Pepsi was later on dropped from the original ingredients in 1993, so you could just cross that out altogether if you really wanted to. The next major difference is that in late Crystal Pepsi, it had sodium citrate, which was another chemical that overall just helped the sophistication of the drink that the original Crystal Pepsi did not have. And other than that, that's pretty much it. If you notice that this original bottle of Crystal Pepsi, even though it's supposed to be clear, was not clear. And that was because this bottle received too much exposure to the sunlight. And with the first releases of Crystal Pepsi, a lot of the bottles they would change colors if they received too much exposure to the sun because they didn't have the ingredients exactly perfected. Whereas the modern day Crystal Pepsi, they had the ingredients pretty well to where the color of the liquid was not changing at all, no matter what. So at the end of the day, there are so many differences between late Crystal Pepsi and early days of Crystal Pepsi that it's very safe to say that late Crystal Pepsi really was pretty much nothing like original Crystal Pepsi. The biggest difference, in my opinion, is that it had caffeine. That was a huge, huge difference. And with Crystal Pepsi of late having like 3 or 4 more ingredients that the old one did not have, these are clearly not like each other at all. And I would have to agree with my buddy DJ Glowing Ice that late Crystal Pepsi of 2015, 2022 was really the imposter of what early Crystal Pepsi actually was. Now, to finish off this story with a really, really cool detail that most of you probably would have never even known, is that in 2005, there actually was just only one variant of Crystal Pepsi original that did come out, only in Mexico in 2005 during the holiday seasons, and that was actually Pepsi Clear. And this right here is a traced drawing of my buddy DJ Glowing Ice's bottle. And this was pretty much as close to original Crystal Pepsi as it ever got. And because this was only ever to be released in Mexico in 2005 during the holiday seasons, this is the rarest variation of Crystal Pepsi that you can find, period, Pepsi Clear. And the only true differences between original Crystal Pepsi and Pepsi Clear was that Pepsi Clear had sodium benzoate in it, and all that did is it just helped improve the shelf life. So because of the sodium benzoate being in Pepsi Clear, it was, to this day, if you could find a bottle of Pepsi Clear, it's much safer to drink than original Crystal Pepsi from the 90's. And then the only other major difference was that original Crystal Pepsi had modified food starch, which acted as a thickener that Pepsi Clear did not have. So, in all reality, Pepsi Clear and Crystal Pepsi Original really were very, very close to being the same. And so much so that if you were to argue anything differently, then you pretty much would be hair splitting. So, I don't know, guys. I hope that was an entertaining, educational, and fun review. And thank you for watching. See you next time.